Chapter 12. Reproduction in plants. Reproduction. In the rainy season, you may see that some small plants grow under the main tree. Most of the children have a tulsi plant in their house. You may see the numerous small plants grow around the main plant. It is only possible by the process of reproduction that takes place in all living organisms to continue their race. Reproduction in plants. Like any other organism, plants also reproduce to multiply the number of individuals. They exhibit two different modes of reproduction, namely asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In addition, some plants multiply by vegetative propagation. Let us learn how the plants reproduce asexually. Asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, plants give rise to new plants without the formation of seeds. Fragmentation, budding, and spore formation are the different modes of asexual reproduction. Fragmentation. In ponds and freshwater puddles, you may see some green patches floating in water. Spirogyra, a common freshwater green alga, reproduces by fragmentation. When the condition is ideal, the fine strand of Spirogyra breaks into fragments and each fragment grows into a new individual. Budding. Microscopic organisms like yeast reproduce by budding. Small, bulb-like buds gradually come out from the yeast cell. These buds gradually grow and get detached from the parent cell and form new yeast cells. Spore formation. On a piece of stale bread, you may see some brown and green patches. These are the molds. They reproduce through spores. Spores are the tiny, spherical, asexual reproductive bodies protected by a thick wall to withstand unfavorable conditions. When the condition becomes favorable, the thick coating breaks open and the spores germinate to produce new plants. Vegetative propagation in plants. Other than the fragmentation, budding, and spore formation, plants can also reproduce asexually by their vegetative parts such as roots, stem, and leaves. This type of asexual reproduction is called vegetative propagation. It can be done either naturally or artificially. Let us learn about them in detail. Natural vegetative propagation in plants. The natural vegetative propagation occurs through roots, stem, and leaves. Vegetative propagation through roots. The swollen tuberous roots of dahlia sown and grown into a new plant. Asparagus and sweet potato are the modified roots that grow by this method. Vegetative propagation through stems. Potato is an underground stem which has buds called eyes on it. When the piece containing a bud is planted into the soil, it can grow into a new potato plant. Ginger, turmeric, and sugarcane are the stems grown by this method. Vegetative propagation through leaves. The fleshy leaves of bryophyllum produce buds on their margins. These buds grow into small plantlets. The plantlets get detached from the parent leaf and grow into new plants. Artificial vegetative propagation in plants. Artificial methods of vegetative propagation are widely used in agriculture and horticulture. Cutting, grafting, and layering are the different methods used in artificial vegetative propagation. Let us learn about them. Cutting. In this method, the stem cutting of the parent plant can be buried in the soil, which develops roots and shoot and grows into a new plant. Cactus and bougainvillea can be propagated through cutting of their stems. Layering. In this method, a young branch of the plant is bent down and covered with moist soil. After some time, roots develop from the covered part. The branch then cut off from the parent plant and is allowed to grow into a new plant. Jasmine and grapevine can be vegetatively reproduced by layering. Grafting. In this method, A cutting with bud of one plant called scion is kept over the cut stem of a rooted plant called the stalk are firmly tied together. After some time, the tissues of scion and stalk join together and form a new plant. Mango and rose plants develop by grafting.